You're locked on to the SABC News channel this Saturday afternoon. Let's take a quick look at stories making headlines this hour. Well, there's been widespread reaction to the attack and death of a female prison warder and the rape of another in a Free State prison. Ratings agency Moody's holds off releasing its credit rating on South Africa, but analysts warn that a rating could still happen at a time of Moody's choice. On the international front, clashes erupt in Gaza near the border with Israel during the demonstration marking the first anniversary of the March of Return protests. And in Super Rugby news, Sonny Bill Williams plays a crucial role in the Stormers' defeat in Auckland, their second consecutive loss down under. Well, the Congress of South African Students, COSAS, held a provincial conference last week to look into various issues faced by South African schools. Now, the organisation has come up with demands of resolutions from the government that includes the scrapping of private schools, prioritisation of the safety of learners in schools, just to name a few. But to talk more on this issue, we're joined in studio by COSAS Gauteng Provincial Secretary, that's Teboho Magafane. Thank you for joining us, Teboho, and thanks for making time on a Saturday.
Thank you very much. It's, when you're deployed by young people, you must sacrifice a lot of things to represent them.
Of course, I do admire the discipline attached to being present here on the weekend at that. Tell us, Teboho, what were some of the crucial issues that came out of the conference last week?
Oh, thanks. Students resolved that the ANC-led government must not privatize ESCOM because of ESCOM is a public entity, and we know that as young people we belong to a working class. So when we privatize ESCOM, certain individuals will benefit, like Pravin Gordhan. So young people resolved in the conference that the ANC, as they are going to elections, they need to take serious resolutions that were taken in Nazareth. Yes, they also resolved that Pravin must go. He must not.
What do you think Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan will benefit from the privatization of ESCOM, like you're saying? What makes you feel this way?
He's having a companies, and you know a Pravin, he behaves as if is untouchable. He's having connections. So if they privatize ESCOM, young people will suffer. So we can't have a situation whereby the future of this country suffers. Yes.
Safety of schools also coming into sharp focus at the conference.
Yes, indeed. We're arguing that when you go to ministers' offices, you'll find private securities. But in our schools, they've hired old grannies who can't even walk to be a security. So we want our schools to be like their offices where there is safety there. Yes.
There have been certain issues where racial tensions still persist at school level, and these incidences have made headlines in the country. So we're still sitting with a situation where social cohesion and diversity management at school level is still a big challenge.
You know, what I believe that South Africa is not a banana republic. We are equal in this country. No one is better than the other. But there is a certain race that behaves as if it's better than the other race. So we are saying as young people, that's why you can see our motto is each one teach one. And we have two students carrying one book. It's black and white. We need to unite all students in all corners of our country so that they can understand that South Africa belongs to everyone who stays in it. Not in a certain a group or a racial.
All right. We've had school desegregation policies over the past 2 decades, all right, 20 years. And with the aim of trying to achieve the social cohesion we all want. But still these interracial tensions remain at school level, and it does look like the demographics of some of our schools have changed completely, but not the policy. And many ministers of basic education, including the current one, saying that it's not a racial problem but a policy one.
Look, you must understand, it's not a problem of police, the problem of our SGPs, how they draft policies. They draft those policies so that those policies can't benefit them, not our constituents. That's why we argued with the MEC that he needs to draft the policy that will guide all schools in Gauteng. We can't have the SGP that drafts policies. Most of SGPs, they have a mental problem.
Why do you say that?
They want a policy that will benefit them, so that they can loot state resources. You see, we have we have a certain school there in Soweto, whereby SGPs, they want to loot our coffers. So if the MEC can draft the policy, one policy that will guide all schools in the in Gauteng, will be fine. Yes.
All right, so in our national budget, we have more than 300 billion rand set aside for education. But there still needs to be attention on the efficacy of the spend. How do you think that money should be spent so that each child has a fair chance to access to education?
You know, we can have more budget, but if the system not benefiting us, we're going to have a crisis. We need the South African system that will benefit young people. Typical example, if we can check this system, it teaches us to be slaves. You see, even if we can have more money, we go to school, but after schooling, what is happening about us as young people? We'll be loitering there in Lokshin, standing there at the corner. If we can have the system that teaches us that we must create a laptop, not a system that will teach us to buy a laptop, will be fine. You see, that's why our conference resolved that we need an African system, like African history, that will teach us where we're coming from, where we're going. Yes.
We did see Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga recently try to phase in history as a compulsory school subject up until grade 12.
Look, he must not try, he must implement. And we're tired of the ANC government deploying old people. Old people that they've been there in parliament since 1994 until today. Do you think that those people, they care about us? They don't. They only care about their interest. So we need young people in parliament who will speak issues of young people. You see, we know they fought for struggle, and but this thing of them being there in parliament not going to assist us. You see, they were there in apartheid era. Now they are sleeping in parliament. We need young people who have energy, who will speak our language. Like now, we have many young people who are in universities now. They don't have accommodation. What are we saying about that? Then we must smile when NG is being deployed and a lady pando. Just imagine, the labor ethics says that you must go to pension while we have a 55 or 65. But now we have people who are 75 in parliament, like Naledi Pando. Then now is appearing in the list. What about us as young people? Not me per se, but young people on the ground who are gifted, who can take care of young people. We have resolved that we need Ministry of Young People. We can't have a Ministry of Women's, but we don't have a Ministry of Young People. So there's something wrong about our elders. We need to fix their mind. By fixing their mind, we must be there as young people, occupy those seats, because it's all about them and their families, not young people who are suffering, who are living in shacks. Like now, you see a political parties have a manifestos. You will never hear any political party speak about a classroom struggle. That we need to conscientize young people to understand their issues. All of them, jobs. Who's benefiting? Them, not us. So we're saying that time is now, they must go, we must take over. Yes, as young people.
Teboho, we are seeing your generation, more vocal generation, more assertive, youth-led protests we've seen in recent years, hashtag roads must fall, fees must fall. So we're seeing young people forcing institutions of higher learning to evolve and change rather than quietly assimilating. What are your views when it comes to students and student bodies protesting, but well within the bounds of the law? Because we've seen recent destruction of universities and university property, etc. How are you advising your student body on that note?
Look, we're not saying that young people...
Because once issues are resolved, these are the classrooms one must return to and the amenities that must be used to complete and further your education.
Look, we're not saying that when young people protest, they must ban things. You must understand that it will be those who are taking advantage to ban things. And you must know that within the march, it will be those who are being sent to destabilize the march. Those who have discipline, like comrades of SASCO, they know that when they march, they submit a memorandum, they don't ban things. But you know, a fanatics who are staying in the street, they want to take advantage and ban things. And we are still concerned that there are comrades who have been arrested in fees must fall. Even today, they are not out. Those who are raping our grandmothers and sisters, they are loitering on the street, eating free food. But those who are fighting for us to get free education, they're there wearing orange clothes. So it shows that there is a problem in South Africa. People, they don't take care of young people. They don't respect policies. If you still have someone who's corrupt, like Praveen in this country, loitering in the street, and then a young person who was fighting for free education is there in prison. So there's something wrong about our country. So we need to fix it. Party. We know where we must cry. You see, and on the 8th of April, we are going to cry there in Little House that we believe in the ANC. The ANC leaders must do the right thing. They don't own the ANC. ANC belongs to our people and young people in general. So our conference resolved on many issues, especially free, dynamic education. We want that thing in South Africa, not anything that they're giving us right now.
All right, that's Teboho Magafane joining us in studio, the COSAS Gauteng Provincial Secretary. Thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk.